Surprise, Peter?
Hey, this is the link for the planning out the memorial, right?
No, you're actually on Anonymous Caller. Your friends set you up.
Who?
Your friends, your buddies, they told me earlier that you've been feeling down and that you want a little booster, and here I am. You're on Anonymous Caller.
Okay. I mean, like Nikki mentioned that one of Seth's cousins might be on the call. I don't. Is that maybe what he was talking about?
I'm not his cousin. I'm John McCain. I'm shocked you never heard of the show, Anonymous Caller.
Anonymous caller. No, I. What is that?
So basically, what we're doing today is we're going to find out your deepest and darkest secret.
All right. Jesus, sons of bitches, huh? I, I mean, like you kind of picked the wrong guy, dude. I don't like. I don't have anything. Um,
Well,
like
everyone has a dark secret.
I mean, what have people told you in the past? I mean, I can give you I used to get the neighborhood cats with a super soaker or something like that, but I don't like what have people told you in the past?
I can't get into that. I want to hear what your dark secret is. I know you said the whole cat thing, but there's always something. Everyone has something. I just want to hear what yours is, Peter.
Okay, I'm just curious why how you get strangers to just come on a surprise Zoom call when I thought we were planning something kind of serious and they just tell you their darkest secrets in 1 minute. Like, how does that work?
So when you say you were planning something serious, what were you planning?
I don't know if it's really like my place to talk about it too much, but a friend of ours passed away a little while ago, and we were trying to do a little memorial thing. We all went to college together, so we were going to kind of do a group thing. That's what they told
Um,
me this was.
Sorry to hear that. No, your friends set this call up, and they told me that you just were looking for a surprise to get your head up a little bit, and that you weren't being involved with them as much as you used to be.
We've bounced back. It was a little bit of a struggle. You know, I'm shocked that they didn't just tell you one of my darkest secrets. That seems more like something they would do than having it come from me. But no, no. I mean, there was a little bit of a period, kind of in later school. I had to drop out, unfortunately, and so we weren't in the same space as much. But no, we've been seeing each other. It's been different since our buddy isn't around anymore, but the rest of us are holding tight.
Were you and that other fellow, were y'all close?
Yeah, it was just one of those things. John, sorry, John. I mean, nice to meet you, John. I didn't get a chance to say that.
Nice
Um,
to meet you too.
it's. I hope you've had the chance to experience one of those things where it's a special time in life when you're in a concentrated place with concentrated people, and your life at that point is pretty much just you know go to class, and then if you got a job or something, and then the rest of your time is kind of you all huddle in one area and talk about this and talk about that and do this and drive at night, and, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it was. We were all in kind of that concentrated headspace time, whatever you want to call it.
So then the whole fall off more of you when you talked about that gap. Why exactly did that happen?
um, I like. Is this part of the anonymous caller thing?
Sorry, it's just usually the call is set up more in a better time, and I'm just curious. I'm sorry if I'm like digging too deep, but if I was just asking,
Oh no, it's okay. It's yeah, I mean, I'm sure they told you some of this stuff. It's not like it's a national secret or anything. But no, it was a couple of years into school. Things were going okay, and then my mom got sick, unfortunately, and she kind of she just kind of not. She's one of those people who's not the best, kind of by themselves, and so I had to help her out, and I made the decision to drop out, which at the time I kind of thought I had to, and I realize now that that was a bit of a mistake. But I did what I did, and just because of that, it wasn't like we had a friendship breakup, sit down. Oh, I don't see. I would see them sometimes, come to campus and everything, but it's not the same. It's not quite the same when you're not there with them every day, and they're having all these experiences together that you're not privy to anymore, and inside jokes and all that kind of stuff. But that's just life. I'm happy I got to help out my mom.
Yeah, that's definitely a hard situation right there, with your mom. But your friends, they didn't tell me about any of these things.
What did they tell you anything?
Just more about the fact that you weren't around as much, and they just wanted to like surprise you with the whole call. And I thought that you would be interested in kind of being on a show kind of thing.
I don't know why they would think that. It's like it's like if they always say, "Oh, we're like going to go to this brewery or something," and they tell me the address, and I go there, and it's like a karaoke bar, and it's like they want me to sing and shit, and I don't I don't want to do that. So I don't know why they would do this, but um, no, things are okay. I mean, it's again, it's we're all still kind of reeling a little bit from the loss, but I don't. What are you gonna do?
So, and I know this is way deeper than I'm supposed to ask. It's just a random person here, but how did his death affect you?
In a few different ways. I mean, how does one describe it? It's you. Everybody that you have a connection with is kind of special, and it's not only are they special, it's let's just say John, you and I were friends. You and I were good friends. I mean, you seem like a good guy. We don't know each other, but let's say we were good friends. um, I get a special feeling when I interact, or even when I think of John. You know what I mean? And it's not the same feeling that I get when I'm talking to Nikki, or I'm doing something with Chris, or I'm doing something with my mom or whatever. It's different, right? It's when it's a special person, I get the John feeling, and I would I would get the Seth feeling when he was around, and I still get the Seth feeling remembering him. Um, it's just just a little tough to realize that, yeah, all that's left, is already made. All I don't know if I'm explaining this any coherently. Um, Everything that you experience with the person, and everything that they experienced themselves when you weren't even around, is it's already done. All that's left are memories. There's no more creation. The creation is done, and so it makes things seem very, very like limit, or maybe like finite is a better word. It makes things seem very limited,
Hmm.
unfortunately.
So I know we just like rambled on about that, and not that I didn't listen, but so let's get to the topic here.
Okay,
What is your darkest secret?
what's my darkest secret? Can I ask you what your darkest secret is? Or you don't even have to go full dark. You can give me a shadow of a secret if you wanted to. I'm just looking for what kind of level of secret you're looking for.
I'm thinking, I won't tell you my darkest secret, but I will give you an example
Okay, an
of
example.
what I'm looking for here.
Yep.
So you know how there's the levels to it. There's like you told me about the cat. You know that there's the stealings. Everyone has stolen something. But the thing that you think about at night that you never want anyone to find out, that level of secret, the one that you're walking around and you just think for 1 second, what if someone found this out? Kind of secret.
I mean, I guess I can give you a little something because again, I've never watched your show. I'm sorry. I'm sure it's really great, and I'll check it out right after this. Um, my darkest secret isn't kill anybody or rob a bank or do anything crazy like that.
Of course.
It's less. It's not like an event or anything that happened. Um, but maybe you can relate. I think a lot of people can actually more, but we don't want to say it out loud. And I think a secret of mine, even though it's not like a shameful secret, is I'm just very naturally a lonely guy. Um, I guess that sounds kind of simple when I kind of just say it like that. It's not much of a dark secret. Um, but what I mean by that is I don't have there's no like natural glue between me and other people. I when you're a baby and then a toddler and then a kid, your kind of main job is observing people and trying things out so that you can learn how to be a person, right? Um, and I all throughout when I was a kid and even when I got older and a teen and even an early adult, I would see people interact and I just kind of wouldn't get it. And what I mean by I wouldn't get it is like all the desires and things like that and wanting companionship and trying to be charming and all that kind of stuff. I could see it in front of me, but when I would try it, it just wouldn't stick. It wouldn't stick whenever I interacted with people. There was just something there in between us. You know what I mean? I mean something there like separating. Not there was nothing. There was nothing kind of nothing sparking. And if you're asking what I think about at night, that's what I kind of think about is why I am this way when other people don't seem to have such as hard a time with it. If that makes sense.
That does. Loneliness is a really hard thing to get out of. You know, I related to that a bit back when I was younger. It's puts you in a hole that you just can't get out of for such a long time. Especially when you said sorry. It's just it gets you into a situation where you just never think that you could be someone else. Uh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for bothering you with all of this. And if there's nothing else you want to say, I'll we could just end it right here.
No, I don't mean I didn't mean to be like that, and I'm sorry if I was. I was just a little caught off guard. Um, and that, in fact, I think this might be kind of a nice. Again, I don't know your show. I'm sure most of the time it's people who keep severed cow heads inside their closets or whatever, something like that. But I think it might be nice for people to hear that, that's if they're feeling this way, it's not it's not unique to them, because it's one of those things where you experience it, and then added on top of that pain is the pain of thinking, well, am I the only one? Right? So it's like this double, you get the thing, and then you get the thinking about the thing, which is just as bad. And neither cancel each other out, which is not so good. Which is why, um, part of losing Seth has been so difficult, is because it wasn't really until finding that group of friends, when it took me all the way till college. I'm not saying I never had a friend before that, but it kind of never met my expectations. And this was different. It was something else. And so that's part of the reason why it really hurt when I had to quit school, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, if anybody's watching, just want you to know that you're not the only one. And John, if you've experienced that, I'm genuinely sorry. I know what it's like. It stinks.
There is one thing I wanted to say.
Sure.
I've been thinking about it for a while. You made a statement earlier asking what else your friends had told me.
Yeah.
And I wasn't completely honest about that. They told me, and again, I'm not saying I don't believe you, but they told me that you and Seth were never that close, and that you failed out of college, that you didn't quit.
Um,
I'm not I'm not trying to say you're wrong, like I said, but that's
well,
what they gave me.
it's kind of like two sides of the same coin. I don't know why they would phrase it that way. Um, it's not entirely inaccurate. Mostly the second one. It was. I'll tell you. While I'm talking to you, I might as well set the record straight, in the sense that,
Hmm.
um, I did fail out of college, unfortunately. Um, my mother did get sick. She did. She was diagnosed with emphysema. I know it's not, always like a terminal illness, but like I said, my mom is kind of, um, she had a difficult time dealing with it on her own, and when you, it's like difficult to breathe. So it's like a little stressful, and so I would have to go home and help her a lot of the time. And yes, okay, I started missing classes and not attending and missing assignments and all this kind of stuff. And I had a couple of bad semesters in which, like, I was still paying the school money. I feel like they would want failures, because, the more semesters you have to go, the more money that they get. Right. So but yes, I had a couple of bad semesters. And, I flunked out. And so after that, it was difficult. It was difficult because I was with my mom, and it was I just kind of gone out on my own for the first time, and now I'm back home with my mom, who can't breathe, and I'm away from these guys that make me feel really special. So yes, it's it's just two sides of the same story that resulted in the same thing. So they weren't incorrect. I would say it's not the whole story, if you know what I'm saying.
Okay, but you said that they weren't exactly wrong about either statement I made.
Mostly the second one.
So for that first one, was that the truth that you told me?
Which one was that?
about you being close to Seth?
You know, it it these are the kinds of things you don't want to say after somebody goes away. But again, it's like the loneliness thing. I think people can relate to this. It took some time with him and I. And that was to be expected, right? Because my life with most people had been like that. It wasn't such a warm reception the first few times around. Him a little more so than the other guys, but that's to be expected. Wouldn't it be weird if you entered a group of people and every single one of them liked you the exact same amount? Like, wouldn't that be kind of weird?
Uh, I guess I don't never really thought about it like that.
You don't think about your individual relationships if you have multiple friends who all hang out to each other?
Well, I wouldn't think about how much they all liked me, and I'm trying to understand here. So you're saying you did kind of lie earlier about what you told me.
I think I just summed it up. It's
But you summed it up with a lie.
well, him and I got there eventually. I think.
It sounds like this doesn't add up. There's something you're like trying to you're making up so much to where it just you're not telling me the truth. What is the truth between you and Seth?
It's like nothing of interest, man. It's just sometimes you don't have immediate chemistry with people. I would come around the first few times. It would be like, Nikki was the first one that I met. Him and I kind of had lunch together once or twice, and then he brought me around with the guys, and everybody was cool, and we were just having a nice time. And Seth, again, I don't want to speak this way about him now, but he'd make little comments, or he would kind of hint if we were kind of at the dorm and then we were going out to a bar or something. Then I mean that wouldn't be in the beginning because we were not a drinking age yet. But if we were going somewhere else, he would hint that it was just kind of them going. And it's the other guys kind of wouldn't say anything, and so it would be like I'd be like in a little limbo.
So
it's just that kind of stuff.
So you weren't exactly that close with these guys, is what you're telling me.
You jump into a little bit of a conclusion here.
Well, okay. Again, I'm not trying to get too deep with you here, but why did you lie? You don't even know me, like you said. You don't know who I am. So why did you lie about basically everything you told me?
I didn't lie about everything that I told you. And like you just said, I don't know you. It would be a little weird if I said, oh, hey, this guy that I was friends with really didn't like me for a long time. And this guy who in the past year was struggling mentally, this really, really deep depression that ended in him taking his own life. Like, oh, by the way, my friend who committed suicide didn't actually like me that much when we first met. That would be kind of a weird thing to say to somebody that I just met.
Okay, but I'm not saying for you to go and say that you weren't friends with him, but for you to make it seem that y'all were as close as you were, and you to be as close as you were with the rest of these guys, you didn't have to do that. You could have just been like, it's someone that you knew, and it affected you and some of your friends. But instead, you kind of added on. So I don't know if you're just trying to make you feel like more bad about it.
No, it's just we were all a group of friends. I wasn't going to say, oh, these are the guys who like me, and by the way, there's this one guy who didn't. That would be that would be a little silly. I think it's like when you read somebody's obit, the obit never says, "Oh, he was a great guy, but he was a little bit of an abuser too." Like that is like they don't you don't say things like that when somebody goes.
It's a whole different example you just gave me.
It was just an example.
Okay, so let's finish this episode. What is your darkest secret? Because I know you told me about you being like lonely earlier, but
Yeah.
that's not exactly a dark secret. That's just more of a feeling.
I don't really like, who are you to tell me, John? Actually, if you don't mind, I got a question for you.
Okay.
Because to me, again, I just met you. You don't seem like the kind of guy that has had to self-consciously manipulate every single one of his behaviors just to get an ounce of positive attention. I don't know you. Maybe you are that kind of guy, but
Are you saying you're that kind of guy?
I am that kind of guy, okay? And so I just wanted to ask you if you have ever been that close to getting the life that you wanted. And it's not a luxurious life, it's not riches, it's not even a great career. It's just I want to feel like I have a group of people that I can turn to and I'm going to feel comfortable. A group of people that I can be around and I don't have to think about every single action that I'm taking and wondering how people are reacting, and just to be comfortable being yourself for 15 minutes around a group of people reliably, right? Not having to go in worrying about what do I say about blah, 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 blah. Like, this is fucking annoying. Okay. And so you're that close to it, but one of these guys just isn't really latching on. And normally you can deal with that, but when he is actively antagonizing and saying things to you in front of the other guys and all this kind of stuff, and even he told me once, he just said it point blank. He took me aside and he said that all of them were just tolerating me because they felt bad, and that if I was really the good guy that I wanted to believe I was, then I would leave them alone.
Did you?
I had to when I left school. For a little bit, at least. And it's when I would kind of come around, when I got some free time, Seth would bail. So I would be me with the other guys, and Seth would make it very clear that he didn't want to be around if I was, right? And you could feel it when we were together. And so, then the other guys stopped inviting me around. So, it sucked. So yeah, this goes, it was true since the beginning. We had a bit of a falling out, but recently not recently, but I guess recent history, I had gotten back in contact with Chris and a few of the other guys, and we would hang out, and it just felt nice. And, Seth was there maybe once or twice, but not always. And I started to relax a little bit, and everybody was a little bit older, and we had gotten rid of that, when you're young, it's like there's energy with everybody that you meet, whether it be positive or negative. It's always charged. And so we had kind of smoothed that out. And, one of the times I thought things were going well. And then one of the times when we were hanging out, someone mentioned something about this party, or this kind of, wasn't really a party because it was just the group, but this gathering that Seth was going to have at his house, where I had never been. And I forget who said it, but one of them said it, and then everybody else, and kind of giving me eyes and stuff like that. And then again, I forget who it was, but they were like, "Oh, we were going to tell you about this thing." It was like a bullshit secondhand invitation just because they happened to mention it while I was there. And if you want to know a secret, here's one: is that I knew that they weren't really inviting me to this thing, but I'm so fucking pathetic that I was going to go. I had this invite to this thing with these guys that were once upon a time my friends, and I wasn't going to let it up. All right. So there's a secret of mine. And so I went, and it was just the guys, maybe 6 or 7 of us. I think there was 1 or 2 that I didn't know that, either Seth's friends or whatever. And I remember I walked in the house, and he made one of those faces where he smiled. He did smile and waves, but it was that like kind of reserved smile that you give when you see something disgusting, but you want to be polite. Like you'd go to somebody's house and try their food, and it's terrible, but you can't be rude. It was that kind of face. But him and I chatted a little bit, and I mostly hung out with the other guys, and there's a lot of drinking and stuff, so everybody pretty much stayed over, which was good. And
real quick,
yeah.
Where are you going with this? Because is this like another like where you're just gonna tell me about how you just weren't wanted there? Because that's all I'm really hearing over is just that you really weren't friends with these guys.
No. We had a nice time.
It sounds like they didn't want you there, and I'm not trying to be rude, but
I know what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. Here's what I'll say, and here's what I've learned is that if somebody really doesn't want you somewhere, especially they knew me. It wasn't like I was a new person and they just pseudo invited me, to be polite. If they really didn't want me there, they would have said something, or they would have known me well enough to know that if they're inviting me, I'm going to go. But no, we did have a nice time, and everybody woke up in the morning. Nobody seemed super hungover. It was okay. And then everybody kind of started taking off one by one. Some of the guys had to leave early, and so same deal. I said goodbye to whoever was there, and I left, and I was driving, maybe like 15, 20 minutes away or something like that. And I realized that I'd forgotten my hoodie.
Is this story going to go anywhere?
I mean, I can go.
But are you going to actually tell me something with this story?
If you don't like what you've heard so far, then I can end it here.
You can continue. You can continue.
Are you sure? Because
yeah, I'm sorry. It's just I usually just ask one question here, and this has been going on for a good while.
I know that, but I think this is.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay.
It's really not okay. It's really not okay, John, because this is the shit that pisses me off. Is like I'm just trying to fucking talk to you, and like you're bored.
It's not that I'm bored. It's just this is my job, and you're taking up my time right now.
If it's your job, you should have either picked a better guest or asked me better questions. But
I asked you the question. You haven't answered the question. You are giving me all this nonsense about you feeling lonely. That makes, once again, it's not a secret. It's a feeling.
Why is it nonsense? I'm telling you, I'm sorry that I haven't stolen a crown jewel.
That's not what I'm asking you to tell me. I'm telling
What
All
do
I
you?
want to hear is what your darkest secret is. That's all I want to hear.
I
I don't want
told
to
you
hear
what it
about all
is.
this. You've lied to me multiple
It's
times.
this feeling
So
that I've carried around, and it's my experience of life. I'm not going to make up facts about my life just to
you
appease
already did.
an anonymous caller. It was
You
just
already made up a lot
it
of
was
things
an
to me.
exaggeration that anybody would tell in polite society.
They wouldn't. No one would say that.
They do it every day. You look out the next time you have a conversation with somebody and see the little white lies that they told you.
Okay, finish your story.
Fine. But yes, this is the shit that pisses me off. Is that is how I was being. That is that right there. And you know what? You did a good job actually, John, because you got out the experience that I'm trying to convey. Is yes, when I was with the guys, I could feel that whenever I would speak, they just wouldn't give a shit. And so, you know what? Yes, I left that day and I realized I had forgotten something. And so I was like, maybe I won't, but I went back.
You went back, you picked it up, and then you felt
No,
lonely because no
no,
one was home.
just like listen for 5 minutes.
Okay.
I went back and I said, okay, I'll get the hoodie. And you know what? I figured, and I thought it was going to be a nice little positive message for everybody, is I thought that if everybody else had left, maybe it would be an opportunity for me and Seth to talk. And if he didn't want to talk, I wasn't going to force him. And if we talked and then he didn't want to see me anymore, I was prepared for that. You just don't want to leave a bad feeling with somebody. And so I got to the house and the door was not locked for whatever reason. And I go inside and I call out, Seth, you here? And nothing. And I got my hoodie. It was on the living room couch, and I thought maybe he was in the backyard or maybe he was in the bathroom or something, but he probably would have answered. And so I just called for him again, nothing. And so I went up. To his room, and he was on the bed, and the pill bottle was next to him, and that was that. And I checked him and everything, and it was unfortunately, it was too late. And so I just wish that him and I had gotten to have that discussion before he went, and I also wish that he had been alive at least when I had gotten there, and I maybe could have gotten some help. But sometimes I think about what it would have been like if he had been alive when I found him like that.
So then, why didn't you tell anyone when you found him?
Well, I did, and they came and took him away, and but there was I was just kind of in shock for a minute, and you can imagine that not being sure if somebody's alive or not, and somebody in my position, what they might think, and
What do you mean by that?
just as a hypothetical, you go through this experience your whole life, and then you kind of finally get a chance at alleviating this thing that's been plaguing you, and you kind of like, if I can just get past this, then I'll be okay, and everything else will kind of be, I'll take it as it comes. And then all of a sudden, the chance is kind of in front of you, and it's the chance for the life that you want. It's right there. It's happening. And all you have to do is nothing.
I thought you said he was dead when you found him.
He was. It's just something that I think about sometimes.
I'm sorry. So you're you think about. I'm sorry. So was he alive or not? Because you're making it sound like what you just told me isn't actually what happened. You said you found him dead, but your statement. Can you just tell me the truth about that?
Here's something I can tell you, John. It's really more of a suggestion or a tip, if that'll make you swallow it easier. I think you need to do a better job at listening to people. Because I've already told you the truth. And if you had just listened, you wouldn't have to ask again what it is. And also, you might find when you listen to the people that are around you, instead of accusing them of different things, then things might go better between the two of you.
So you're telling me that you killed your friend?
John, you never listen, do you? I'm gonna go now.
No, no. Okay,